Hello and welcome, this is rooflemonger, and my friends, we got a lot of new Guilty Gear Strive footage to go through, and we've learned a lot more about the game thanks to it. So the fine folks over at Gamespot, they have put out 3 matches worth of gameplay for Guilty Gear Strive, and we can glean a lot from it. So if you want to see the matches in full, I'll provide a link in the video description, you can check it out there. And with that said here, we're going to be breaking down some of the bigger notes here. Quite a bit about Nagoriyuki, because he's a character honestly I'm very interested in. There's a lot to learn from this video, as well as some smaller changes. And with that said, let's start with the big stuff. And speaking of the big stuff, let's start with the biggest of the big stuff, in that yes, Ky has the Dragon install. As in, yes, that Dragon install, the granddaddy of them all, the one where all installs take their name from. And yes, he is part gear, so on top of it being very cool and something very unexpected for Ky, this also has massive lore implications for the game as well. Now the lore stuff, we can wait for that for another day, but yes, it does have gameplay changes. Just like when Soul does the Dragon install and he gets faster, better, stronger, all that kind of stuff, so does Ky. Now, we do not have all the details available right now, but certain things are apparent just from watching the video, such as the Charged Stun Edge has more hits, therefore more damage, and the Ride the Lightning Super also does more hits than normal while he is in the install state. It is also noted that he can only do it while he is in low health, so perhaps this means more desperation style supers for Guilty Gear Strive for other characters as well. Ky, I don't want to call him bland, but he's definitely the most standard style character in Guilty Gear, and always has been traditionally, so this definitely does a lot to shake him up. Another big thing we have learned here is from Axel. Axel has a new super, and it's a big one. This is One Vision, and basically it allows him to stop time. As you can see here, he can hit you while time stop, and then, well, you keep going, and it's pretty handy. So this super actually works in 2 layers. First is simply the prep. You do the super, and then as you can see the little purple glow, he's ready to do it, and then you just input the same motion again, and then you have your time stop. Once the time stop is loaded, you can cancel it from anything, even special moves. You got it, it's good to go. Now, I guess the question is, what happens if they're blocking, right? Well, that we just don't know yet. In the context here, you're definitely getting into combo, and it's just free combo ability, just hits that cannot be stopped. In neutral, I don't think you're just given a guaranteed unblockable. I guess we'll have to wait for the open beta to find out directly, but it's really cool. And just this, like, look at all these Axel bombers that are given. Just the big damage. It's just really, really neat. Given that Axel is Guilty Gear's resident time traveler, him kind of finally getting mastery over time powers is a neat little way to just advance the plot and also give us new gameplay mechanics. I'm definitely all about this move. Saw bad guy, he's got a brand new overdrive super move, that is the Heavy Mob Cemetery. Now, this isn't an install as far as I can tell, it's basically just a big, quick super that'll get you really good, right? Either good for combo enders or as a reaction check where you catch someone, doing something from full screen, then haha, gotcha. So he still might have his proper Dragon install. In fact, I'd be shocked if he didn't. There'd be no real reason for him not to. And then you have both your 2 most popular characters in the game have your install, right? But this is just basically another way for a super to turn him into a gear to do big damage. Now, once again, this effectively looks like a way just to cap off a combo for damage, or just as a reaction check super to catch people doing stupid, predictable stuff. So, not too much to it other than, hey, it looks cool, and as you can see, you got that big old gear form there for Saul, and, well, I guess that's really all there is to say about that. So, in this gameplay video as well, we got a lot more footage of Nagoriyuki. And Nagoriyuki has changed quite a bit since the last time we saw any gameplay for him, not the least of which is how his blood gauge goes. So as a cyberpunk vampire samurai, one of the core aspects of his gameplay is exactly how the blood gauge works. So for the most part in fighting games, when you got a special gauge to work with, you want to fill it up, right? And in Nagoriyuki's case, that is a very bad thing, and kind of the opposite of what you want to happen. You actually want to keep it fairly low. As if the gauge fills out, Nagoriyuki goes berserk, and he loses pretty much all of his health. Your health will eventually go down to 1, and that's kind of a bad place to be. Now yes, his moves will be effectively turbocharged, but unless you're already going down, it's not really worth the risk. So a lot of his moves are strong, and seemingly most of his special moves are able to be cancelled into one another. And he is a mobility limited character, yes, in that he cannot run, he cannot air dash. And in Guilty Gear, you know, that's kind of limiting, right? Now he does have a very short range teleport, but that also raises the gauge as well. So what's different about the blood gauge now? Well, as opposed to before shown in earlier builds, the big difference is while you still do move and the blood gauge rises, it is now gradual versus it just fills up instantly like before, which has some interesting implications. Like right here, we're gonna have a very big combo, and it's a pretty big combo, right? About half-life-ish, and it takes about 2/3 of that bar to go up. Now, as you can see here, this is what I'm talking about, where you're allowed to cancel moves and other moves. So we got this big slash upwards, a special, canceling into the teleport, and then we keep juggling onwards and onwards. The bar is not fully filled up right away. It will go up more over time, even after the combo is already over. So a big part of this is basically you have tons of explosive power and tons of damage potential, but you have to cut it short, otherwise you'll go berserk and you might lose the round, right? So it is basically risk versus reward. How much gauge am I willing to burn and bring me all the much closer to the berserk state versus how much damage do I want right now? To directly call attention to it, the combo is now over, but the blood gauge is still filling, as you can see, right? So it has consequences even after you get the damage. There is this very interesting sequence right here where Nagoriyuki says screw it, and he just dumps everything, right? And right there, I think he might have won. Instead, he loses. So let's go over that real quick. So the interesting concept is this. Since the blood gauge builds after you're already done, right? If you're going into a situation where you know you went too crazy and are going to enter the berserk state, as shown here, right? Then, as you can see, he's holding it in place with the jabs. And I think the idea here is I'm just going to hold you in place long enough for the berserk state to go off. And as shown in the initial reveal trailer for the character, it does actually hit. It connects with the enemy, the berserk state. So I think the idea here, this was a checkmate situation where I got you in place long enough, and then I'm going to go berserk, and you lose because it's going to hit. But instead, Ky did his burst as a big get off me, and it kind of ruined the whole setup. And then, of course, when he goes berserk, he eats a stun edge to the head. But yeah, I like that idea of seemingly you can go all in, and if you do indeed get the hit, you can just hold them in place long enough, then go berserk, and then finish off what you're gonna do. Theory crafting at its finest, I am very sure, but we'll know soon enough come the open beta. And just some other tidbits I noticed about the character is whenever a sword attack specifically is blocked, not just a punch or a kick, a sword attack, there is this blood intake, I guess you could say, very Scarlet-like from Mortal Kombat, and looking at it, it seems to lower your blood gauge. So even if you don't actively get a hit, as long as you force the foe to block, you do get some sort of mechanical reward as the blood gauge goes down just a little bit, and then you're allowed to go more crazy in the future. Another little note, at least apparent to me from the video, is when he does this move here specifically, where he kind of does like a fake out low, he'll like do a little teleport low. I think that is plus on block. In that, at least every time in this video, Ky either just stayed blocking, or when he did try to challenge it, then he got counter hit out of it. So it makes sense that since his gauge, you know, has such a large consequence to it, that his specials are maybe a little bit stronger than normal, a little bit stronger than the average character. So in this case, plus on block, maybe. And just by watching the footage, the one thing that's really apparent is dude has massive normals. So yes, he may be mobility limited, but you know, he still has pretty solid control of the screen. But that said, between, you know, this advanced gauge meter mechanic and the fact that he is mobility limited compared to the rest of the cast, only Potemkin, the big grappler, is like him in that he cannot run and he cannot air dash. I think it's weird that such a cool design that a lot of people really dig. He's definitely going to be one of the scarier characters in the game to actually learn and play, and a lot of people that are going to probably pick him are going to bounce off him very fast. But you know what? Mechanical depth is good. It's just weird they chose this character, which is definitely an early fan favorite, to do it on. That said, personally, can't wait to play him. Wasn't showcased in the video, but he also does have a command grab as well. And just a few other things to note, I guess. One is, man, I already knew the game looked good, but it looks almost better now. Now, I don't know if it's a combination of like this particular stage or something, but it really popped here. The new stage looks good. I don't know if maybe there's like another lighting pass or something on the model, but yeah, game just looks good. Just a neat little follow-up here, but if Axel does the explosion ender at the end of Sickle Flash, you can just see him go, yes! And I don't remember that being in the beta. It's just a little bit of color to the character. Obviously, it doesn't affect the balance, but I think it's pretty cool. And hey, speaking of pretty cool, dude, just watch the gameplay. Zato and Eddie look like $1 million, man. They've never looked better than this. It's like a true triumph of the art style. Keeping on with Zato, he's got whatever that thing is now. Looks like has pretty good air-to-air range at the very least, so he might control the air a little bit more than usual. Other changes are how the drill works. So you get the base drill and it whiffs here, but then kind of as it falls apart, goes to the ground, the hitbox actually widens out. So it does initially miss Saul, but then as it goes back down, it creates a new hitbox that expands, and then he is forced to block it. So potentially new applications for drill pressure with that in mind. Also something to make some people cheer and break other people's hearts, the drill is no longer a low. You can just stand block that stuff now, after all these years. So that's a pretty big change. And honestly, there's just so much new stuff with Zato, especially with how Eddie the Shadow works, that I just gotta play the game to find out because I'm just not sure. But all in all, man, there's a lot to learn from this, and I am all the more excited yet for the Guilty Gear Strive beta because, man, this game's gonna be good for sure. So with that said, the beta, I'll have the video linked with all the beta details at the end of this video, but it's not too far away now. And once again, it's an open beta, open for everybody. Look forward to it. I am. That all said, my friends, that's the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Guilty Gear.